Hello, my name is Michael Leadon. I want to talk to you today about the 7 types of rest that you need in order to feel refreshed and revitalized. I'll start off by talking about this incredible job. Would you like this job? This job offers you $40 million per year. You only have to work an average of 48 minutes on an average workday, and you only work 20 weeks out of the year. What job is this? This is a job in the National Basketball Association, NBA. LeBron James signed a contract for $98 million over 2 years. But the average NBA game is only 48 minutes. There's only 48 minutes of playing time in the official game. LeBron James only averages 38.6 minutes per game. Michael Jordan only averaged 38 minutes per game. Steph Curry only averages 34 minutes per game. So you may think, these players make millions of dollars. They're supposed to be in peak health. Why can't they play for a full game? Well, the answer is it's not that they can't play, but the coach won't allow them to play. Sometimes they want to play more, but the coach will bench them, sit them on the bench. Why would they do that? Even if it's a chance that they may lose, because they will need to score more points. So they'll score more points if they play more. But the thing is they'll have a risk of injuring themselves. So although it may be good for the short term, it may hurt them in the long term because they want them available later in the season, and it can also shorten their careers if they play the full game. So in the NBA, they realize the importance of rest, and we should too. You can't just run at 100% all the time and expect to be at peak performance. We need to rest. We can experience what's called burnout if we don't rest. Burnout. When people ask me how I'm doing, I often say busy. When I talk to people, everyone's busy and everyone's tired. And I usually thought that the tiredness was a result of the busyness. That people were tired because they were busy. But we saw during the pandemic that a lot of people, they no longer had their 2-hour commute. They no longer had to take their kids to soccer practice and things of that nature. So people were less busy, but they were just as tired, if not more tired. Some people got to sleep more. They got more physical rest. But what we discovered is physical rest isn't all the rest we need in order to feel refreshed and revitalized. We need more than just physical rest to feel refreshed. So I'm going to talk to you today about the 7 types of rest that you need. 7 types of rest that you need. My name is Michael Leadon. I'm not a clinical professional, so the information I'm going to give to you is for educational purposes only. I'm going to talk about the 7 types of rest you need in order to feel refreshed and revitalized. I teach a class on emotional, mental, and spiritual health. I've been teaching it for the past 2 years, and I want to share with you some things I've learned about rest. I want to talk to you about the 7 types of rest you need. These 7 types are physical rest, mental rest, emotional rest, social rest, sensory rest, creative rest, spiritual rest. And then I'll talk to you about the resources that you can use to get more information on it and give you the conclusion. There won't be a question and answer in this online session. Physical rest. Have you ever woken up on the couch? You were watching TV and then the next thing you know, you're waking up. Or either you're driving and you wake up. That's a scary thing, isn't it? That's a sign that you may need physical rest. Physical rest, if you're tired or hurt, you're exhausted from physical activity. Those could be signs that you need physical rest. Some other signs that you need physical rest include body aches and pains, headaches, being tired, being forgetful, being irritable or moody, having problems remembering things. Not getting enough sleep can lead to overeating. It can also increase your risk for heart disease, and it can lower your immunity. Well, what can we do about this? But one thing you can do is get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Most of us don't get it. We think that we don't need it, but you're actually not working on peak performance, which are 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. Another thing you can do is stretch or get a massage. Or there's a concept called body fluidity. Body fluidity is the concept that you're moving throughout the day. You're not letting your body just stay still for a long period of time. So if you're working, you can set an alarm. So every 90 minutes or 2 hours, you're actually getting up and moving around and not staying stagnant for the whole day. You also want to address pains that you have the minute that you have them. Don't wait till the end of the day or the end of the week to address them. So if you're on a computer looking at the computer screen all day, look up every now and then, take a look out of the window, focus on something on the far side of the room. If your shoulders start to hurt, get up immediately and walk around. Another thing you could do is drink more water, and that'll force you to get up and walk around through the day. This will help give you physical rest and help create a lifestyle of rest. Next, I'll talk about mental rest. Mental rest. I remember one time I was interviewing a candidate for our department. He was currently a student going through finals. He'd been studying and cramming. He did well on the interview, so I gave him some dates to jot down. He asked me to hold on while he got his calendar. So I waited. Heard him scurrying around a minute, a couple minutes went by. Then I finally said to him, "You wouldn't happen to be looking for your phone, are you?" Yeah, I'll find it. It'll just be a minute." It wouldn't happen to be against your ear in your hand, would it? Sorry. So he was mentally exhausted from finals. So he didn't realize that he was talking on the phone while he was looking for his phone. So that's what's called decision fatigue. He'd been working his brain so hard and he needed a break. So these are some signs that you might need mental rest. Do you have low productivity? Are you in your 40s? You can't remember anything. Have you ever walked into a room, couldn't remember why you were there? Maybe you have ruminating thoughts. This is one of the reasons you may have those. You never have quiet headspace. Maybe you're easily distracted, or you react impulsively, or you make unwise decisions. These are signs that you may need mental rest. Well, what can we do about that? To get mental rest, you can take a study break, similar to the physical rest, or set an alarm for every 90 minutes or 2 hours to take a break from working. You can keep a notebook near you when you're working or when you go to sleep, and jot down your thoughts. And that way they'll get out of your brain and into the notebook, so your brain won't think that it has to keep reminding you of these things. Another thing you could do is set up systems or set some structure in your life or procedures. One example of that is that before you go to sleep, if you have to go get dressed and go to the office in the morning, you can set aside the clothes you're going to wear. Choose the clothes you have to wear in the morning, and therefore you have less decisions to make in the morning. A lot of people go through the same routine, eating the same thing, taking the same route to work, to make less decisions in the morning. Another example of this is what Steve Jobs was famous for. Every time Steve Jobs would do a presentation, he would always wear the same things. He'd wear blue jeans and what? A black turtleneck. He'd always wear the same outfit. Mark Zuckerberg is known for the same thing. He always wears blue jeans and a gray shirt at work every day. Albert Einstein was known for the same thing. He would wear one of 3 suits every day. And they all do this for the same reason. They want to save their brain power for the important decisions of the day. So the mundane decisions, they don't waste their time, their processing power on making those decisions. They just put in routines and systems and structures. So if you implement this, that can give you mental rest, and therefore giving you a lifestyle of rest. The next thing I want to talk to you about is emotional rest. Emotional rest is when you got a lot of stress, a lot of things going on. I remember when my mother had a stroke, and I was caring for her. We had a caregiver, and I was providing for her financially, and it was starting to cut into my savings. And I thought that, the VP came into town and he wanted to meet with me. So I thought, hey, here's the answer to my prayers. I'm going to get a raise. But then I realized, oh no, I got laid off. Then I went to the hospital and they told me my blood sugar was high and I had to stay in the emergency room. So that was a super stressful time for me. And so I was overwhelmed and I was emotionally exhausted. So some signs that you might be emotionally exhausted. Oh, and by the way, it actually ended up working out okay. I started my own company and I lost some weight and things got better. Here's some signs that you may need emotional rest, that you're emotionally exhausted. You have a lack of energy, a lack of motivation. You're irritable. You're physically tired, a feeling of hopelessness. You feel like you have no control over your life. You're cynical or pessimistic. Maybe you're even depressed. You have difficulty concentrating, and headaches are another sign of it. These are symptoms that you may need emotional rest. Now, emotional exhaustion can come from two different ways. One can come from you experiencing a lot of emotions. You're experiencing emotions. You're going through a lot of ups and downs. The other can come because you're suppressing your emotions. You have a lot of emotions inside, but you're not allowed to express them for some reason. So if you're emotionally overloaded, this can come from maybe you're in a dramatic relationship. You're always fighting. You're always worried about something. There are ups and downs. There's a lot of drama going on in your relationship. This can cause emotional exhaustion. Another thing could be your job. If you're in an emotional job, maybe you're a nurse, you're meeting people and then they're dying. You meet people and new people and then they die. It can be emotionally exhausting. Or you're a firefighter, a soldier, or even being a teacher. Or maybe you're overworked or you're grieving the loss of a loved one. These can cause emotional exhaustion. Or just raising kids or the diagnosis of a chronic disease that you have to live with. These can cause emotional exhaustion. In a different way, if you have to suppress your emotions, you feel like you're not allowed to show your emotions. Maybe you're a leader or a manager and you're always pouring into other people, trying to motivate them, trying to energize them, but you have no one pouring into you. Or maybe you're a parent and you can't express everything that's going on. So you're just hiding your emotions. You're wearing a mask all the time, or you have drama in your life, but when you show up at work, you're putting on a happy face and smiling. You're putting on a mask. Or you're a counselor. You're caring about the other person's emotions and no one to share your own emotions with. Or maybe you're a people pleaser. You're a people pleaser, so you're trying to win the favor of everyone. You're trying to make everyone happy. You want everyone to like you. You're trying to control their emotions. You're not showing your true self because you want them to like you. You want them to be happy. You're agreeing to do things you don't want to do. You're wearing a mask. So these things can be emotionally exhausting. So what are some things we can do about it? One thing you can do is to sit in silence or solitude. Or you can find authentic people to be around some people that you can be yourself with. You can let your hair down with people you can be yourself with. Or setting up healthy boundaries, deciding I'm not going to try to control this other person's reactions. I'm going to tell them the truth in love, but how they respond to it is not my responsibility. You set boundaries, or you stop people pleasing. Or maybe keeping a journal. Keeping a journal is a good way to get yourself some rest. Keeping a journal or meditating. These are ways to get you emotional rest. And therefore, you create a lifestyle of rest. The next type of rest is social rest. Social rest is when you're tired of interacting with people, when you don't feel like getting around people, you don't feel like interacting with anyone. One cause of this could be that you have people in your life that are draining you. They're always negative, or you're always cheering them up. This can cause you social exhaustion. Some signs that you have social exhaustion could be you're overstimulated or anxious in social situations, or you're overly tired. You're stressed. You want to skip out on social events. You don't really feel like being bothered. You feel depressed. You're feeling impulsive. These could be signs that you have social exhaustion or you have social anxiety. Some solutions to this are to spend time with people you enjoy, hang out with people you genuinely like spending time with, setting healthy boundaries again, experiencing inclusion, being part of a group or a team where you feel like you're part of the team, you feel like you're part of the group, being part of a tribe that helps you feel social rest, or practicing self-care. If you have social anxiety, one thing you can do is to be curious about other people. A lot of times our issues deal with the fact that we're focused on ourselves. We're self-centered and we're just looking at ourselves, we're worried about how other people are going to look at us in the social setting. So be curious about other people. Find out about other people and genuinely be interested in them, genuinely be interested in their job or what's happening in their life, and focus on them and not focus on yourself. This can give you social rest and therefore creating a lifestyle of rest. The next type of rest I want to talk about is creative rest. Creative rest, maybe you have problems thinking of new ideas. You have problems being innovative. This could be signs that you need creative rest. Other symptoms include you have a hard time thinking creatively. You have a lack of love of life. You have writer's block, lack of innovation, lack of imagination. These could be signs that you have creative exhaustion. You need creative rest. What are some things that give us creative rest? Appreciating beauty. Going out and seeing whatever you consider beauty, whether that's architecture, a cathedral, a painting, or a lake, something you consider beauty or awe-inspiring, the Grand Canyon. Look at something you consider inspiring. And if you can't actually go there, you can put pictures up in your workspace, put pictures up around you in your workspace, and give you creative rest. Or listening to some music, appreciating artwork, going out into nature, spend some time out in nature. This can give you creative rest. Take a hike out in the woods somewhere or by a lake somewhere. This can give you creative rest. Or experiencing some excellence in your field. So maybe you're a singer. Go look at an incredible singer. Or maybe you're an architect. Go look at some incredible buildings. So look at something that's excellent in your field of work, and that can inspire you and give you creative rest, and therefore give you a lifestyle of rest if you put these practices into practice in your everyday life. I remember a scenario during the pandemic. I started making social media videos. I was telling these short stories, and a few of them had got traction, and I was going to record a short story. And so therefore I was on a walk and I was going to practice it for my 30 minutes while I was on my walk and then record it. And I decided, instead of doing it, I'm just going to spend some time enjoying the lake, listening to some spiritual music, and clearing my headspace. And so I did that. But then at the end of the walk, I saw that the sunset was beautiful. So and I hadn't really practiced a story, or thought of a story. And I was doing this every 3, 4, 5 days, coming up with a new story. So after a few months in, it's like you're running out of stories. And I hadn't really thought of one to do. But then I said, hey, I know this quote. I'm just going to do something spur of the moment. And so I just recorded a quote. And I got the sky behind me and kind of spun around. And I recorded a quote I'd heard, and it's kind of related to creativity. I said, someone asked me, you think you're going to change the world making these videos? A bird doesn't sing because it has the answer. A bird sings because it has a song. So I just recorded that really quick, said maybe I'll get a couple hundred views. Woke up the next morning and looked, had over 100,000 views, and people were sharing it. People were lip syncing the quote and with my voice to it and posting it as their own videos. And it went viral. And I was like, oh, just because I was inspired, I got inspired to do something creative, and it touched people. It touched the creative, the other content creators. It spoke to the content creators. And so creative. So getting out in nature, being inspired, being in awe of something will give you creative rest. Sensory rest is the next thing we're going to talk about. Sensory, we have sights and sounds and tastes and smells coming at us all the time, and it can be overwhelming. The lights, we have screen time, we have computer screens, we have phone screens, we have television screens, and it can become overwhelming and we can get sensory overload. Some signs that you may need sensory rest include you go somewhere in peace, but you leave all wound up, or maybe you're irritable. You're anxious, you're angry, or you can't sleep at night. These could be signs that you need sensory rest. So what are some solutions to get sensory rest? You can be in darkness, close your eyes, sit somewhere in silence, turn off the radio when you're driving in your car, or don't have any screen time at the end of the day. At the end of the day, half hour before you go to sleep, an hour before you go to sleep, you shouldn't be looking at your computer or your phone or your television. Have some time when you're not getting that light shine into your eyes, because you're telling your brain that it's daytime. Your brain wasn't meant to have light shined at it right before you go to sleep. It uses that to your circadian rhythm. It messes up your circadian rhythm and your internal clock to let you know that it's time to go to sleep. Some computers have the ability they dim themselves, and iPads and phones as well. They'll dim themselves during the nighttime. And you can also put on the do not disturb at nighttime. And these are ways you can incorporate it into your lifestyle to get sensory rest, and therefore to help you create a lifestyle of rest. The final type of rest I want to talk about is spiritual rest. Spiritual rest gives you a connection, an interaction in the world beyond just the physical world, beyond just the mental. It gives you feel there's more than just the physical and the mental. It gives you a feeling of love, a feeling of belonging, a feeling of purpose in the world. Some signs that you may need spiritual rest include you feel like there's no purpose in life. There's no purpose in life. What's the point of all this anyway? You're not going to get out of it alive, or you wonder, what's the point of life? You have no sense of purpose. You're just aimlessly wandering around. Or no sense of belonging. These are signs that you may need spiritual rest. So what are some things you can do about that? Well, you can volunteer. Again, not focusing on yourself. Look at some ways you can help others. That's a way to get you outside of focusing on yourself. Be involved in something bigger than yourself. Volunteer in some meaningful cause. Also, spending time in nature, again, can give you some spiritual rest. Going to church, joining a religion, or practicing religion or spirituality can give you spiritual rest. Meditation, it gives you a heightened awareness of the present moment, and you're not judgmental or emotionally reactive to your thoughts. Another practice that we as Christians do is called quiet time. Quiet time is when you set aside some time. Maybe it's at night, maybe it's in the morning. You set aside an hour, or maybe it's 15 minutes where you spend time with God. You spend time in prayer. You spend time reading the Bible. You spend time listening to worship music. So it's one-on-one time with God. It's not time where you're asking for something like Santa Claus, give me this, give me that, but it's where you're building a relationship with God. So you're not trying to go inside of yourself, but you're trying to build a connection with something greater than yourself, building a connection with God. And that can give you spiritual rest. It can revitalize you spiritually and give you a sense of purpose and give you guidance and clarity in your life. Quiet time. So if you implement these things can give you spiritual rest and therefore create a lifestyle of rest. So if you want more information about this, you can go to restquiz.com. This will tell you, it's a quiz that you take, and you'll get emailed something that will tell you which of those 7 types of rest that you need. Or you can read the book called Sacred Rest by Sandra Dalton Smith. And this will tell you more about the 7 types of rest that you need. So in closing, one thing, I took a vacation recently, and oftentimes I come back from a vacation and I'm more tired when I left, and I need a vacation from the vacation. We think that we can just work, and then we're going to set aside some time to refresh ourselves. We think that, okay, I'm going to drive really hard because I've got a vacation coming up. And we're thinking that our vacation is going to refresh us, but in actuality, we don't get refreshed in a vacation. So we can't have that mindset that I'm going to drive, and then at some point in the future, I'm going to get rest. We need to incorporate rest into our daily lifestyle. The military knows about this. The military actually trains their soldiers how to sleep. They train their soldiers how to sleep. Think about it. If you're at war, if you're in a battle, it could go on for 3 days, it could go on for 7 days. You can't say I'm going to fight the enemy for 7 days and then I'll go and take a nap. It's like, no, you have to sleep within that war. So you have to be able to sleep when there are bullets flying over your head, when there are people dying around you, and they train them how to do that. They have a technique where they're supposed to be able to go to sleep within 2 minutes, regardless of what's going on around them. Because the military realizes that rest isn't a luxury. For them, rest is a tactic of warfare. Rest is a military technique that needs to be trained. It needs to be put into you so that you can use it. It's a life-saving technique. And we needed to treat it the same way. Rest isn't a luxury. Rest isn't something that we earn or we deserve. Rest doesn't need to be something that we do once we finish enough items in our to-do list. Rest needs to do something that we prioritize and put into our to-do list. And therefore, we can create a lifestyle of rest. Thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe for more of these, and I hope to talk to you later. Have a good day.